right. Make some noise right now.
Enter Podcast and Chill Network in association with Grandeur presents the Road to 1 Million Subscribers event on the 30th of July 2023 at SUNBET AREANA in Pretoria. Lineup includes Kabza the Small, MacG, Musa Keys, Mpop Pops, Celestine Dooley, Eugene Koza, and Robert Boy. This fun-filled event will include comedy, music performances, as well as a live audience conversation with MacG, Sorpen Duka, and the Ghost Lady. Tickets are now available on Cricket from 295 rands. Doors open at 6 p.m. Food and drinks sold at the venue. Come and join a milestone celebration of Black excellence with Podcast and Chill Network.
I think if there was a EFF Youth League, it would be, it would intimidate Malema.
No, I don't think there's anything in South Africa that can intimidate me.
The Minister of Youth, she's 68 years old.
They have to colonize them young. And soon he'll be sent to Harvard, he'll be sent to Oxford because
Do you think SA is a failed state or a gangster's paradise?
It's like both. And I want to.
I've never experienced racism in a day.
I've never. Honestly speaking, I've never.
There's no truth to that.
it's dodgy to hide dollars under at least I can speak about the president. You can't even whiff about Julius.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special Youth Day edition of Podcast and Chill. I thought it'd be dope, to get all the youth leaders from the biggest
Top 3 parties.
that we have in the country.
Yeah.
So please, round of applause for Nicholas Nyati, who's the DA youth leader. But you're interim, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what does that mean now?
Interim, I was elected to take the DA youth to Congress. So I'm leading the party in the interim until we go to our Congress.
Oh, when is that, the Congress?
After we finished with all the provincial conferences, we left with Gauteng, Western Cape, and the Northern Cape this weekend.
Oh, so you're still interim for a while, ne?
And I'm going to contest and win again. I'll just go there and remove that interim.
All right, nice one. Also, please welcome the EFF Student Command President, Sizok'thola.
Yes.
Now, I'm confused there. What does it mean when it's a student command? How's it different from a ANC, a youth league?
Look, obviously, primarily we exist in institutions of higher learning. But what the Student Command is starting to do now is to venture out to communities. We have a slogan that student wars are community wars. So you'll find us more active in communities as we lay the foundation for, a future youth movement of the EFF.
Wait, so you don't have a youth league equivalent?
No, not yet. Not yet.
I wonder why.
Because he saw the power
No, but no. Look, if you look at
You guys want to create another Julius?
if you look at big youth movements, I mean, we talk about June 16 as a youth activity,
Yes.
but it was actually run by students.
Yes.
So the idea that a student must be detached from a community youth leader, for me, I think it falls short of any historical.
Then rather have a youth league equivalent or youth wing, and then that will also cover the students as well. Because in our country, youth is up to the age of 30 what? And you barely find students at that age, particularly, unless it's guys who are just studying J as a post-grad or whatever.
Look, if you've got students who are taking part in community activism, it's really semantics. Whether you call it youth, students, young people, for me, is immaterial.
So,
because we're engaged in youth struggles, even though we're students.
Do you think if there was a EFF Youth League, it would intimidate Malema?
No, I don't think there's anything in South Africa that can intimidate Malema.
Especially because EFF, from the looks of things, from observations, correct us if we're wrong, it seems like you guys, a lot of your support base is the youth. So it makes sense for him not to want a youth wing in a way.
Look,
because
interesting enough, of course, EFF is popular amongst young people because it appeals to youth. But Ipsos, in our plenum that we had this year, actually revealed to us that the membership and even the voter population of the EFF is now starting to move towards your more middle class working people.
Okay.
So that's like a scientific
under the age of 35.
Yeah. So it's not, it's there, it's online. You can fact check it with the guys in the room.
Yeah.
So it's not, yes, we are very popular amongst the youth, but we also have black professionals who are leading in the EFF and who also support the EFF.
And then we saved the best for the last, the man of the moment.
Load shedding.
Yeah, Mr. Load Shedding. Please welcome Khulekani Skosana, who's the National Working Task Team member of the ANC Youth League. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
How's that different from you being the president of the ANC Youth League?
It's different because I was not elected. I was appointed by the National Executive Committee of the ANC. So we are going to Congress on the 30th of June. And we have not been elected because our former president, who now formed the EFF, really did a number on the ANC Youth League, left the Youth League in debt of up to 7.4 million.
Yeah.
So we've had to pay back loans and
You took
hotels.
Did you take over after Julius?
Not really, but since he left the Youth League in tatters, myself and
But
the
was the
people
president
before me,
after him?
Yeah.
How do you say he bankrupted the youth league when there was a president after him?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Yeah.
It's
because
unsubstantiated, it's baseless.
no, there's base. I mean, the Youth League was put under administration. Our accounts were frozen until we could be able to pay back monies that from hotels which he used to book without paying in the name of the ANC Youth
But
League.
the youth league in the ANC operates within a bigger structure that's the ANC. So you are surely enabled by his superiors to get the youth league into so much debt. He wasn't acting unilaterally with all the power unto him.
The Youth League is semi-autonomous. So the Youth League has its own bank accounts and has an executive committee which takes its own decisions. So the Youth League is capable of raising funds and using its own money for its own activities. Also, some of the support gets from the ANC. But the ANC doesn't tell us what to do or what not to do with our funds.
So do you still have members of that executive? Because it sounds like it was a number, not just by Julius that was done on you, but by the entire executive. Are they still there and are they being held accountable?
Would like to see that happen. Would like to see that happen.
Okay, leave the youth league. Leave the youth league. The ANC cannot pay staff members.
Yeah.
Like the ANC is bankrupt.
Yeah.
So I don't see how then you make it a youth league problem when even the guys at the top, every month, it's like we have to postpone.
No, but he did say it's
Autonomous.
Yeah, but you can't blame it. You can't blame it to the ANC youth league because
I can only imagine what he's doing with their membership fees because we have experience that he's not
paying all
very
the staff
good with
members for
people's
starters.
money.
Who are you talking about? Comrade?
He's asking what is the president of the EFF doing with the EFF membership.
Yeah.
For starters, he pays all the staff members on time, pays for the building that the EFF currently resides in, which is the headquarters, and many other things that the EFF is.
But he doesn't release the financial report.
And he's always asking people for donations. Now they have a number where you must SMS and donate there.
Yeah, because the EFF wants to get donations from the people. It doesn't want to be captured by Stellenbosch.
So the people must
There's
find
no white
the people
business
must
person
fund
who's going to fund
the lifestyle of
EFF.
Julius.
No, they must fund
and
the
Floyd. Amen.
Can I tell you an interesting fact about this guy?
Tell us,
I
tell
found
us.
it very interesting. You've got different grading of municipalities. Grade 6, you grade them. So a metro councillor will get paid about, you take home 37,000.
Oh, wow.
A councillor from a rural area will take home about 18,000. Julia says to those councillors, all of them must bring a bus to Joburg for their anniversary and pay for that bus and pay for the people in that bus. A bus from rural Eastern Cape will cost you about 100,000. How will a person who earns 18,000, who takes home 18,000, afford that 100,000? What he's doing is saying, go and steal municipal funds.
No.
I'm telling you now, you must look at where they are governing and the financial reports that speak to them. Another interesting one, he fired 2 treasurer generals, remember? Because they said one thing, Julius, we want to see the financial reports.
Not true.
Where are they now? Fired them.
You know what the
See,
problem is?
The minute he started speaking against Julius, he was warned. That's why he's quiet now. He has to defend. Remember, this first ever statement.
And even now, he must be careful because he might get fired.
You know what the problem is?
Oh, that's why he wore this big ass skirt. So we know where he's from.
I'm very clear. You know what the problem is? Leaders in the DA and the ANC, they don't have any sense of loyalty to their organization.
Sure.
So there's no responsibility that they want to have towards it. So in the EFF, we're saying the members themselves, leaders, both at the local and provincial level, must contribute in one way or the other to the organization. In the ANC, they take money, they enrich themselves. DA, they do the same. We are saying, if we deploy you to government, maybe before you didn't earn any income, you didn't have anything, but through your hard work, now you are a councillor or you are an MP, at least give back to the organization. That's how we run, the EFF is run.
We have loyalty to an organization, not an individual, not a cult personality. All you guys are doing is donating those 10 rands to find a lifestyle. A known person who lives a very luxurious life. We've known him in the Youth League. And like I said in the beginning, he plunged us into a financial crisis. And for all these years, we've been dealing with that, having to pay people who assisted the Youth League of Julius many years ago, more than 10 years ago. As long as you've existed, we have been paying back money which he indebted the Youth League. So I'm just advising you that you are...
The statements are unfounded. But let me make another scientific statement again. Ipsos, again, when they came to engage us, and Ipsos is an independent electoral research, they don't owe us anything. Part of the other very important stat that they give us is that actually the EFF is now more popular than its leader. Whoa. And for us, that's a very important statistic because we do accept that when an organization is starting, of course, the leader must profile the organization. It's natural. Mandela at some point was more popular than the ANC. But what we're starting to see in the EFF is that now the popularity of the EFF is starting to be more than the popularity of its leader.
But no one in the EFF can ever contest Julius. And Floyd started to shine, Julius dealt with him and said, you're surely Ndlozi. When Ndlozi started becoming popular, Julius said, they went back room.
So the difference between me and
there's a video actually when they were shutting down the country. There's a video on social media where you can see Julius is telling
it's how he is.
That, hey, my man, chill, you're just an Iceman.
No.
Yes, you saw that video, that's all.
When Dalibofu started to shine,
they showed him how you're just a nice boy.
You see the difference between me and my fellow comrades or colleagues or whatever you want to call them, is that they are just throwing around statements. Julius is this, Julius is that. I'm saying Ipsos is saying this.
Yeah, sure.
The data is saying this.
Sure.
So auditions to be an ice boy.
But anyway, listen. So I want to ask you guys, right? In terms of politics, at what age are you not youth anymore? Like, at what age is that?
35.
35.
In the DA, we say 31 because we don't want Oros or Julius to come with wife and all those things. So we say 31, go and compete with your elders.
It's in accordance to...
But in South Africa, it's 35.
It's 35.
No, in South African law, it's 35, but we are trying to build a party here that is going to allow young people. Imagine me, I'm 35 years old, I have a beard, I'm competing with a 14-year-old for president.
No, they're trying to live up to some European American standards. You know that there's no definition of youth in the world. So according to lifestyle and standards in a particular community, that's how you would define youth. So according to the situation in our country and in the continent, youth is 14 to 35. But in America, in the United Nations, youth is 14 to 25. So this is another attempt of them trying to be Western. We are living in a country, we've got a constitution. That constitution says 14 to 35. And that's in response to your question.
You know why we've got elders in parliament?
Yeah.
This ideology. A person by the age of 35 is saying, I am youth. By the age of 68, when they're the same age as Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, they'll first want to be an elder. We are saying in the DA, by the age of 32, we are already old. So that we go to parliament whilst you're still young, you're still energized. At 65 and 60, you think about going to play with your grandchildren. You know what these people did? They said, young people are 35 years old. Therefore, we'll put a minister of youth in the presidency. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma.
I mean, I understand.
A minister of youth. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. She's 68 years old.
They have to colonize them young. And soon he'll be sent to Harvard, he'll be sent to Oxford because black people do not last in the day. It's a vicious circle.
Yeah, he can't place it.
But on the real, man, I mean, we've all seen, you know, it's a joke, you know. Yeah. But no. I'm alluding to the same thing. On the real, we've all seen that black leaders don't last. You know, so when you look up there, obviously you've got aspirations, because like you said, hey, you don't even look 31, man. You know, you're slightly older, but when you hit 31, you'll go compete with your peers.
I mean, I will look old.
No. When you're past the DA's definition of youth, aren't you concerned about your future within, you know, the DA? Because black leaders don't last in the DA; they always get sent away.
Look, I think let's first fix that part. I want to fix that part, because you're going to name 5 black people. We've lost white people, we've lost colored people, we've lost Indian people. Politics is a contested terrain. ANC lost Julius and lost other people. No one counts them and says ANC is losing black people. No, there are people who left the ANC and started COPE. You get... No one said the ANC is losing black people. But when it comes to the DA, people want to bring this racial thing. Now let's speak about those people that you speak about. Check, when did they leave? Some of them left after contesting. You contest, you get moved, you leave. I mean, why were you staying? Why did you even raise your hand and say you want to contest? And politics, because it is such a contested terrain, there are going to come times where you contest, you lose, or you win. I've lost before. It's difficult to lose. That thing, it deals with you psychological. Because you're thinking about that loss. Now, other people can take it. You get, I was there. I know how it feels. I thought I was saying, this thing, it's nonsense. These people don't want me. But I contested again. Interesting fact. Majority of delegates who voted for John to be leader were black and colored. Majority of people who voted for me were colored. I was contesting against the colored guy, but they voted for me. They were from Western Cape. I'm from Eastern Cape in a small farming community of Kerkwood. They voted for me. And that shows that in the DA, we don't just look at color, but we look at the ideas and content of character. Now, we want people...
Blind. You're colorblind.
No, I'm saying you can't elect a leader on the basis of their color. That's why we're in this mess, because we continue voting for black people, but they're the ones to oppress you. They're the ones to bring load shedding. I'm not going to vote for Sihla Kulegan because they're black.
All we're saying, prepare your application forms for Harvard and Oxford, because right now you are being elected because you've not gained popularity. Once you become popular and a threat to the white establishment in the Democratic Alliance, you are chased out and you are given a bursary to America. And that is your future, my brother.
Look,
we're talking to a future student at
Harvard. Look, for me personally, I think any child should be proud of going to Harvard. I think that's why people fought. But for me personally, I'm not going to accept it. I'm going to stay in the DA. I'm going to fight. Because
it will not be your choice.
I believe the fight is greater than just...
it will not be your choice. The God in the DA is Mama Helen Zille. And just like Godzilla, when she doesn't want you, she will chase you out.
Here's an interesting question for you. Because you are saying...
You're taking MacG's job.
I don't know.
You are saying... He says...
I'll still have a job after this. I don't know about him.
He says the ANC is problematic because it's called old people who are leading and what. How old is Helen Zille, and what do you think about her recontesting so many times?
Helen Zille is, number one, is not a public representative, not taking any money from the state. Helen Zille is like what you call an SG. She's in the office. The reason why we needed her is because we wanted someone with experience. I voted for Helen. We wanted someone with experience. We wanted someone who knows...
He's not going to Harvard anytime soon.
No, but it's the truth. Who has the institutional memory? As my colleagues have said, running a political party... It's a difficult job. It's like
We had Uncle Herm last week. We asked him
Yeah, I saw that thing.
if he thinks Helen Zille is racist. He didn't answer. I remember.
He essentially said, without using, the word racist, but he said, she doesn't really, she'll always see a black person as a young boy, no matter how acclaimed.
What do you guys think? Before you answer that, what do you guys think?
I think that the Democratic Alliance is, as an establishment, is racist. And the reason it exists is so that it mobilizes the minority as a bloc. And unfortunately, because of numbers in our population, they need people like him to come and vote. They need people like him to hold placards. They need people like him to march to the ANC. But when it comes to positions, when it comes to deployment, when it comes to decision-making, they don't need him. They send him away to Harvard. So Helen Zille is like Queen Elizabeth in the DA. She will rule until she dies.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has captured it very well. The DA is a white party. We don't have to talk around it. It's a white party. It represents the interests of a minority. It wants to protect the minority because it has a fear that if you allow black people to lead, white people must be scared because, they'll either be chased away or anything. So it represents white interests. We see it in many of their policy statements. They don't want affirmative action, anti-BEE, even though white people benefited from a welfare apartheid state. If you look at the history of apartheid, there's what was called the Koniji Report. And what the Koniji Report or commission did was to assemble a group of sociologists, scientists, lawyers, psychologists to go around the whole of South Africa to solve the problem of poor whites. The state took a decision to say, there is a problem of poor whites in South Africa. Let us set timelines. Let us end that. They gave them jobs in SOEs. They gave them land. They gave them... there's even a joke. So, for example, you'll find a job that can be done by one person. They'll employ 5 white people. So white people are beneficiaries of a welfare state. And then the DA wants to come and tell us that, no, we must not have BEE. We must not have affirmative action. We want meritocracy. There's nothing... The leader of the DA, Stenazin, has a matric certificate. What meritocracy is there? This other one, Natasha, lied about having a law degree. The Premier of the Western Cape, if I'm not mistaken, also only has matric. So when it's white, they don't want to consider merit. Okay. But when it's us, all of a sudden, asifuni BEE, because we want the right people for the job.
I think I must clarify a few misconceptions.
Sure.
And this is why politicians are termed as liars. People can lie with a straight face. Number one, if you check South African history, where the DA stood in terms of apartheid, Helen Suzman was the first politician in South Africa to visit prisoners in Robben Island. The DA in parliament stood against apartheid and said, black people, in fact, all South Africans must have the right to vote. That is why the ANC was formed in the first place, by the way, for the right to vote because people wanted land. The DA was there fighting against an apartheid government.
But no DA in apartheid. Come on.
Come on. Parties renamed though.
Yeah, but
my man studied. So you were the National Party.
No, no. The DA was not the National Party. They know this. We came post-1994. Post-1994...
After the ANC won freedom in the country for you.
After South Africans, including the DA...
Which came after 1994?
No. The DA only renamed, come on, my man.
From National Party to DA.
Where's fact checker, MacG?
Yeah, fact checker, MacG. There was no DA in apartheid.
No, fact checker.
Can you get it right? Yeah. There was nothing called DA in apartheid.
No.
So it's a combination of white people who are trying to protect the interests of the minority. You see, even during apartheid, the white people that the DA wants to praise, their only role within the black movement, I think Steve Biko talks about this when he speaks about white liberals. He says they wanted to enter our spaces to come and, make us more softer, make us less radical, wanting to make us to theorize about our things. So he says his problem with white liberals is that they don't necessarily have a problem with the system.
Yeah.
They just want to fix things in the periphery. So that is the role of white liberals in black struggle.
Okay.
If they are so dedicated to fighting racism, they must go and organize themselves and stop racism. They don't have to come into our spaces and tell us how we must fight against racism.
Okay.
What is that?
Okay, let me...
And they must start in the Western Cape first.
They must go alone there, have a
MacG.
group chat and stop racism.
MacG, racism is bad. And it is not a fight for the DA, it is a fight for all of us.
Racism
as
is
South
bad
Africans.
as you've experienced
Then
it in the DA, as a member of the DA.
Secondly, the DA was there during apartheid as the PFP. In 2004, in 2002, in fact, the new National Party, I mean, you guys discussed this thing with John. I don't understand why I must explain it again. The new National Party merged with the PFP. After just 2 months, they fought because the ideologies were not the same. The new National Party left and joined the ANC. They're still there. Some of them are ambassadors. He knows this, but no one speaks about that. The DA fought against apartheid government because we strongly believed that it was a crime against humanity. Now let's speak about this so-called white party. Look at how the DA took over Cape Town. White people are not a majority in Cape Town. It was colored people, it was black people who voted for the DA in Cape Town. In Western Cape, it was black people, it was colored people who voted against the ANC and voted for a DA government. The ANC was governing Cape Town, was governing Western Cape, but people there, black people like me and you, said, no, these guys are failing us. We want a new government. Let's look at the stats, as you like to say, let's be scientific. 33% of DA voters are black, 34% are colored. It is only, I think it's 30... My maths is incorrect. The rest is white and Indian. Majority of DA voters are black like me. Now, let's speak about Helen. Is Helen racist? I haven't experienced her racism. What I know about Helen MacG is that if she thinks you are skinny, she will not go and gossip behind your back. She's going to tell you.
So do you agree with her when she says colonialism had benefits because they built roads for us and did all of these things?
Julius Malema said the same thing.
No, do you agree with
Julius Malema said the same thing. I don't understand this nonsense.
So was colonialism good?
No, I want to correct something. There's a double standard in South Africa. Julius Malema stood up and said, at least the apartheid government built clinics for our people. There was no outreach. Helen Zille, in relation to Japan, said colonialism was not bad. There was an outreach in South Africa. Why do we have double standards? So Julius Malema can say it. People like Sihle here don't come to him and say, Chief, you can't say that thing. But when someone like Helen says it, she is wrong. Then what type of a country are we building where MacG can't say certain things, but Nicholas can say such things? So let's be honest. I have my views about colonialism as a crime against humanity. It happened across the world. But there are many countries that took that oppression, that took that colonialism after they took their democracy and changed it around. Japan did it, Singapore did it, Taiwan did it. Here, next door, Rwanda is doing it. South Africa, after colonialism, is like Zimbabwe. We are failing. 43 years after independence in Zimbabwe, they're in that mess. And we are chasing them because of people like Sihle and Ukulegan.
This gentleman wants to come here
it's
and
colonialism.
sit here and tell us that the Democratic Alliance is an organization of freedom fighters. It fought for democracy in our country.
Let's go to the ANC. What is your role? Do you get a seat in the table?
Yes, we get a seat in the table. We sit in all decision-making meetings of the African National Congress.
So you brought load shedding?
No. Load shedding is as a result of demand not meeting capacity because the apartheid government only built power stations for select communities and they did not build enough capacity to cater for black people. So now the ANC...
But my man, it's been 30 years.
Come on. It's been 30 years. I will not say it. I think redo that one.
You lose a it's 30 years. Chief. Please, my brother.
It's apartheid government.
So now potholes.
In those 30 years, we have built 2 functioning power stations and we have a nuclear power station called Kuber. And all I'm saying is that based on demand, we are not able to we're not able to meet demand because of capacity, because the power stations which were built in South Africa were built for select communities, white people in the towns, and not for black people because of Group Areas Act. So the ANC has increased in reception, where in a village where you did not have a connection to electricity, you now have a connection to electricity.
But you're misleading us.
So because of demand,
With a straight face.
capacity
With a straight face.
This man will kill you.
Yeah, we've built 2 power stations, and one of them is a nuclear power station. Like I'm saying, capacity is not able to meet demand. And many of the townships, which by design were not supposed to have access to electricity, now have access to electricity. It's just our power stations have dilapidated, and with the resources that are there in the state, we don't have enough money to build more power stations.
Important word, dilapidated. Look, it's the same in every ANC government. These people don't know how to govern. The basic principle of government is maintenance, MacG. You maintain your infrastructure. They never maintained it. And because they don't want to take blame, they're going to blame apartheid. Maintain your infrastructure. He's saying it. We had power stations, we let them to be dilapidated. Who are we going to build to blame? There was a report in 2008 already that said we need to build new power stations because the demand is heavy and we are not maintaining our power stations. But they didn't. You know why? Because it opened an opportunity where their comrades can come and supply coal, can come and supply diesel. Look at the expenditure for diesel. They spend billions on that. Basic things. We have cities running out of water. You know why? Maintenance. You've got roads with potholes. You know why? Maintenance. They don't know maintenance.
In DA-ran municipalities, that's where we have potholes. In DA-ran municipalities, that's where we have
took
potholes.
over from the ANC.
For 7 years. Can you explain potholes
Just give
for
us
7
this
years?
thing of government. These guys
in Pretoria.
Never.
Power stations, portals, give it to us.
If you don't want your house, give it to them. Give them the vote if you don't want your home. Give them government.
So in the DA, what are they saying solution is for load shedding?
Look, for load shedding, there's no one-size-fits-all approach. We believe that fix ESCOM, but also open up for independent power producers.
Gotcha.
You get what this is going to do is to move us with the time. Kulagana, I watch his videos, always speaks about 4IR, but they don't want to do this fourth industrial revolution. Let's have innovative things. In Gqeberha, for example.
You have innovation in Khayelitsha and Gugulethu.
I'm going to come there. In Gqeberha, for example, we have wind. Why are we not using wind turbines?
Yeah.
In cities that are hot, why are we not use solar for sun in terms of generating electricity? But surprisingly enough, in our DA municipalities, we are moving towards being off the grid and away from ESCOM, where we're allowing independent power producers. Amazon is going to be one of our independent power producers in Cape Town. And to answer him on what are we doing in Langa and Khayelitsha, have you guys played in Rand or some place in Khayelitsha?
Yeah.
Tell me, is there any township where they're governing that has got roads that are marked? I'm not saying Khayelitsha and Langa are perfect. They are not. Because the number of people that are there.
You are governing.
No. Let me respond.
The townships in Tshwane are governed by you.
I will let you respond. You said Khayelitsha. I'm coming to Khayelitsha. Now you are moving into Tshwane. Which one do you want me to speak about?
I'm just saying that you are claiming perfection, and I'm giving you a capital city.
Okay, I'm coming.
Where you've governed for 7 years, where there are potholes, where the roads are not marked, where the townships are now going into the state of Khayelitsha, Langa, and Gugulethu.
Okay.
Because that's where the DA prefers people. In the townships, in shacks.
Let me come, my brother. When you went there,
I stay in Centurion, man, which is right by you guys. It's the pits, man.
Yeah, no, I want to come there. When you look at Khayelitsha, look at the infrastructure that was done there. The problem with the Western Cape, if you look at, is it called migration, where people move to that city? Look at the stats. I don't want to say them. Fact checker must check them. People move from the Eastern Cape and other provinces to go and stay there. It's the truth. Look at the recent budget that we passed. 70% of that budget is going towards infrastructural development in Kualanga and Khayelitsha.
Wow, it doesn't
it's
look
not
like
me.
it.
Go and check. Fact checker must check if I'm lying.
But to come back to-
You've ran the city of Tshwane
let's come to this 7 years that he speaks about. If you looked at Tshwane, At Tshwane, we relied heavily on the vote of the EFF, just like we did in Joburg when Herman was mayor. Now, you understand how coalition politics work. John spoke about this. There are certain parties, I'm not pointing any fingers.
We're never in a coalition with the DA, by the way.
Yeah, but they lended us their vote. The same way they're saying they're not in a coalition with the ANC, but they're lending them. These guys would come to you and say, we don't support this budget. A proper budget. In NMB, where they recently took over, we had a 90% pro-poor budget. They wanted to reject it. And then they will come and say the DA was governing.
You've bankrupted the city of Tshwane.
But this is what the...
let's go back to the load shedding. So what's EFF saying the solution?
And this is what we must not allow, because I see the Western agenda of IPPs is being pushed. So all over, you look at the history of all nations. How capitalism works is that you make state enterprises dysfunctional, you collapse them, and then you say the private sector is the solution. Did the same thing with the SAA. Now they want to go to Eskom. People are complaining about the prices of flights. Commander-in-Chief said it years ago to say, look, if we allow these guys to privatize SAA, they will collapse. Poor people or even middle-class black people won't be able to afford flights. The same thing is happening to Eskom. It's a DA. You see, on our side, we don't really see...
How is the DA responsible for Eskom?
We don't see policy difference between the ANC and the DA, by the way. Because the ANC is also pushing this privatization of state-owned enterprises.
But what is EFF saying? What's the solution? Forget about these
Look,
guys.
of course, you must maintain the current power stations. You must also build new power stations. But also in the immediate, you must try to also look outside. You look at maybe countries like China in terms of how can we get energy generation. There are these ships that, are at our shores, that where you can actually plug in, if I can explain it in simple terms, you can actually plug in and get energy generation from them. We must also look at clean coal energies that we can look into. So this thing of saying we want to decommission all the coal plants, DA and ANC, we don't want any more coal, we want a green transition. We want the sun, we want the wind, we want this. No, many countries in the West, the base, they started off with coal. And then over time, they moved on to, bring in other green energy. So we can never allow, number one, an agenda that seeks to throw away coal in South Africa as a base energy producer. But number two, this crusade of privatization, I'm telling you now, South Africans are going to regret it. We're not going to afford electricity.
But my man, you're speaking about China. Who supplies electricity in China? I'm asking you. And what source are they using? Because you like misquoting things, man, and you're scaring me.
No. I'm saying, do you know about the ships that produce energy?
Let me assist you.
Them.
In China, they're using a mixed electricity generation system. They're using nuclear. They're using... So to generate electricity, you need energy. They're using the energy from the sea. They're using solar panels that I'm speaking about. This man is coming here saying the same
disagreeing
thing,
with
but he just wants to say
we're not disagreeing with
Western agenda.
But
now, let me
we
tell
disagree
you
with the privatization of state-owned enterprises.
Yeah, but let me assist you. Let me tell you who produces power in China. China's government, what they did was that they have state-owned companies. Ne? So they'll say, we are supporting this person to start a company that supplies electricity and sells it back to the government. Electricity is not free in China. Secondly, the people in China who get electricity is not everyone. So for me, I cannot sit here and say we want South Africa to be like China, where only a few get electricity, where only the politically connected will get to be the companies that produce electricity. I want a South Africa where Kulegani can start a business and produce electricity and sell to the municipality. I want a situation where Saul, yourself, MacG, go into producing electricity and sell at a competitive price. What is wrong with that?
Yeah, but how many people in the township are going to sell electricity?
I want to speak about this ideological perspective.
I mean, really now, this guy.
No, but
It's going to be Rupert who's going to be selling electricity. You're telling me in Kubuletu, I'm going to sell electricity to the city of Cape Town. Man. My guy, please, man. Please, chief.
Let's speak about this thing. He speaks about capitalism as if it's a bad thing. MacG is a capitalist. Are you bad? You're a capitalist. Are you bad? I'm saying this man is saying, no, we must not be capitalist. Show me one socialist state
is not a
that is
capitalist.
working.
The socialist that works very hard.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one.
There is no one successful socialist.
Socialism is not a synonym for poverty. You can be a socialist and be rich, MacG.
No, MacG is a capitalist.
Let's go to the ANC. Everybody's crying about this.
Yes.
I'm sure you're aware because you stay in Mamelodi, right? Mm-hmm. Unemployment.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, stayed Mamelodi, Mfana Kasi. Unemployment is a crisis. It's something that we are strongly challenging the government of the ANC on, and we're not taking excuses. And part of what we are doing is to ensure that those who are unwilling to prioritize young people must retire and young people are put into office. And that's why we've ensured that we have NEC members of the ANC who are young people. And we are moving towards a state where the board of ESCOM, the board of Transnet, and all these parastatals, we need young people who are capable, who have been educated by the very same ANC to take over. The same way the generation of Thabo Mbeki and all the greats fought for political freedom in our country, they've got to give young people an opportunity to take the baton and fight for the next generation. So the solution to unemployment is giving young people the opportunity to be imaginative and come up with new solutions. We don't agree with the old people in parliament. We think that they must retire. The retirement age of South Africa is 65? We think that those who are above the age of 65 must give us a chance. Nelson Mandela, that you spoke of, was a young man when he pioneered brilliant ideas into the African National Congress. The founder of the ANC, Pixley Gaiseme, was 22 when he came up with the idea of the ANC. So the solution in the African National Congress is that we must assist people to retire. And speaking of unemployment, in the NYDA, the National Youth Development Agency, we've now resolved that the NYDA gives grants of up to 50,000 Rand to entrepreneurs who are established. For example, in this setup, if you need cameras.
They bought us the roadcaster that we use, by the way.
Is it?
NYDA, yeah.
But I'm happy he's talking about NYDA. And this is why we must not even trust young people in the ANC. Even if they are young, if they are ANC, we don't want them.
So it's a bad thing. We must return the roadcaster.
The NYDA,
No, keep it.
The EFF doesn't want young people at all.
More than 50% of its
let him finish.
on salaries. But you just touch on that, please.
Yeah.
How do you spend more than 50% of the money you have on paying yourselves? When you are supposed to be a structure that empowers young people.
At least we are able to come here and say that we are giving young people grants of up to 50,000 for entrepreneurship. All the EFF
After
gives,
you take half.
All the EFF gives young people is T-shirts, and they are expected then to post Julius. They're expected to sing about Julius. In the
He's
ANC,
been writing these white liners, eh?
yeah. Yes.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think it's fair for any organization or a business to spend 50% of your money on paying salaries? Do you think that's a sustainable business?
I think it's not fair for people to donate to fund the lifestyle of Julius.
No,
for the
but
public to pay money to
come on.
to fund the lifestyle of Julius.
Taking the second L. Yeah.
And
Like, when you look at a young person who maybe has voted once or twice for the ANC, they're still unemployed, affected by bad service delivery and load shedding. How do you motivate them to continue voting the ANC?
I think that South Africa is the best place to live in the world. It's not perfect, and it could use better solutions. And there needs to be an expedited road to ending unemployment.
Someone who's watching, what is this guy saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, expedite, what? Me bra.
Yeah.
Why is a young person voting ANC?
Why should I continue voting ANC? I'm unemployed. I voted ANC.
Straightforward question.
I'm unemployed. I voted ANC. I see no difference in my conditions. In fact, they're getting worse. Why should I continue voting ANC?
Because the ANC has built 2 universities. The ANC has ensured access to education. In 1994, we had 200,000 university students. Now we have more than 1 million. And there are jobs for young people. Panyaza is a good example. He started a program called Nasi Span. And instead of doing the rallies that they are doing, on the 16th of June, young people will be lining up, bringing their CVs to apply for jobs. Every week, Panyaza launches 6,000 job opportunities. I maintain the ANC is not perfect, but the fact that people have continued to vote for the ANC, and in their 10 years of existence, we've clobbered them the entire time, is an assertion
But every
that
time
people
less
still have
and less
confidence.
people vote for the ANC.
It's an assertion that people still have confidence in the African National Congress. People are angry with the African National Congress, justified, because there has been rampant corruption. And in any big church, not everyone is there for good intentions, but that doesn't mean that the soul of the ANC is bad. I'm a young person, and instead of running away from the ANC like Julius, I'm sitting here to fix it. And like I said earlier on, those that we think that are not good for the movement, we're helping them to retire. That's the responsibility I've taken as a member of the ANC Youth League, that we will assist those who are bad in the ANC, who are corrupt, to leave, so that what Chris Hani died for when he sacrificed his life for the people is not for corruption to reign supreme in the African National Congress. And I think that for as long as young people are choosing not to be politically involved, we'll continue to have politicians who are stealing from the coffers of the state. So I've decided to take a form and join the African National Congress so that I can be the change that I want to see. And we invite young people into the ANC.
You raised an important thing about unemployment.
Yes,
I think
I wanted to go back there. Yes. So what do you think as DA is the cause of unemployment and solution?
Bad governance.
Okay.
Bad governance is the cause of unemployment. If you look at South Africa, look at the province with the lowest unemployment rate. I wanted fact checker here so that she can check. The province with the lowest unemployment is the Western Cape. And this speaks something. It speaks directly to governance. If you look at the jobs that were created in the last quarter, Western Cape created the most jobs. Most importantly, Ukulegani made an example here about NYTA. I'll tell you an interesting story. During COVID, Ramaphosa came with the 350s. They gave this guy from Soweto. The young man said, I'm going to start an ice cream business. Starting an ice cream business was mentioned in Parliament. Load shedding came, his ice cream melted. It was more than it was more than the ice cream that melted. It was that guy's dreams. It was that guy's ability to feed his family. You know, it's painful. And that is what causes unemployment in South Africa. There is rising crime. We were speaking about Mamelodi before the show. There's rising crime. That contributes to unemployment because people are scared to open businesses in Mamelodi. If you don't open a business in Mamelodi, the youth of Mamelodi will not be hired. You're not opening business because there is crime. Why is the crime?
Mamelodi is governed by the DA.
Kaloku, I'm on my man. Police are a national entity. Don't expose yourself.
Yeah,
police are a national entity.
You want to govern, but
I want to speak about the safety aspect. People always say you've got Cape Flats and all these things. When Helen stood up and said, "We have Cape Flats, we want the national. We want no, but she was the mayor of Cape Town. We want we want the national government to give us the soldiers." South Africans all over were. I don't know what happened. They went crazy. No, Helen wants to bring back apartheid. When Jordan Hill-Lewis came, we said, just give us one chance and give us the policing function so that we can sort out our own mess with the police. At a local government, we don't have control over police. It is Bekitel. But we didn't stop there. We started the LEAP. LEAP now has limited functions because we are not a police service, but at least we can go and practice safety measures. If you look at the stats, I want fact checker here because I don't want this empty rhetoric. If you look at the stats, after the establishment of LEAP, crime went down in the Western Cape by 14%. In Nyanga, I was there. I was driving in Nyanga.
This is why you need soldiers.
In Nyanga, it used to be the number one murder capital. It has went down. There are no longer soldiers. You guys kept them there for 3 months and took them away. Police vans don't go to Nyanga and Langa. They're controlled by them. We can't do
There's
anything.
a provincial commissioner appointed by the DA government in the Western Cape.
We can't do anything. And that's why I'm saying to
And there's Metro Police in Tshwane. You've been governing there for 7 years. Ending crime is not the responsibility of national police. It is the responsibility of the city. And we are governing nationally. We share the responsibility to take care of our people. In absence of an active democratic alliance in the city of Tshwane, we are assisting our people. You are giving the people cholera water there in Hammanskraal. Everything is dilapidating in the city of Tshwane because of the DA-led government. You have ruined the city of Johannesburg. If you look at the city center, what it is now, it is because of the hands of the Democratic Alliance.
Okay. MacG, do you have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I've got Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Can you please Google the best governed municipality in Gauteng? Let's leave Western Cape. If it comes out it's ANC, I will apologize.
Best
governed municipality in Gauteng.
But we're not governing. You are governing in Ekurhuleni. You are governing in the city of Tshwane.
Party in Tshwane.
No, the best governed municipality in Gauteng as a province. This man was speaking about Panyaza here, praising him. The best governed municipality.
He's a premier.
The best governed municipality.
He's not a leader of a municipality. He's a leader of the province.
No, but let's speak facts. Let's speak science. The best governed municipality in Gauteng is DA run. The best governed province in South Africa is DA run. And you come to me and you want to.
The 2022 Municipal Financial Sustainability Index by Ratings Africa has once again reaffirmed an established fact that in South Africa's local government sector, DA-run municipalities in the Western Cape and Mid-Val in Gauteng are the best-run municipal administrations
in the country. It's not us. It's independent people. The reason why we're best run is because we spend the money where it's meant to be spent and we do everything that we can. I want to speak about this thing of Metropolis. Metropolis, by the way, is trained at a local government level. They do two things. You combine a half training for traffic officers and a half training for maintaining, how do I put this thing? Peace within your city. So you do things like Metropolis can only do things like roadblocks. They can't even go and bust out drugs. It's not in their duty. It is the duty of police. And it is unfortunate because this man sits at the highest decision-making meetings of the ANC, but he doesn't even understand that simple fact.
What decision have you made in the past year as a youth league leader that we might not know of?
We have convinced the head of state to cancel experience as a requirement for entry-level jobs. That's the most recent thing.
Meaning what does that mean?
Meaning that if you are going to be a receptionist, a cleaner, you don't need experience for you to be given that job. Yes, so young people who are fresh out of university must be given those jobs without the requirement of experience.
Yeah. And then I wanted to ask you, you guys are all leaders of your respective youth parties, but no one knows you. How come that's the case?
Yeah, for us as the Youth League, it's important for them to know the organization, not the personality cult. So we're not about ourselves in the Youth League, we're about the brand, which is the ANC and the ANC Youth League.
They will know me after today. No, I think, honestly speaking, for me, because I'm interim.
Yes.
I don't really go out and do media interviews, but I'm on the ground. The people who are on the ground, they know me. Yeah. The people where I serve in Nelson Mandela Bay, where I'm a councillor, know me, my constituents there. But I want to answer this question that this gentleman said when you asked what was the one decision that you made.
Yeah.
I wrote to the DA that we must take the ANC to the Human Rights Commission for not giving people their land. And we took them to the Human Rights Commission. It was on the 22nd of November last year. We took them to the Human Rights Commission and said, ANC is not giving our marginalized people in rural areas ownership of their land. We took them. Not EFF, not these ones. No, because we believe in people owning their land.
And Caesar, what
No, we were not celebrities in the EFF. That's why we were happy when Ipsos says to us the party is becoming more popular than the leader. So we're pushing the brand of the organization. The EFF must be more popular than any leader. The EFF Students' Command must be more popular than any leader.
Okay, cool. So what do you think about the emergence of an Nhlanhla Lux, for example, who seems to be more in tune with the problems that the youth are facing?
No, that Lux guy is a local fellow. He's not known in Cape Town. He's not known in Toyando in Venda. He's not known in Zululand. He's a local guy who is just an irritation in Soweto. I think he's also over, the media also makes him out to be something that he's not, that being social media. But if you go to someone in Pietermaritzburg, you're like, do you know a fellow called Nhlanhla Lux? He's not known. So he's trying to use the local issues of Soweto, which are related to the questions of foreigners, to try and push some individualistic agenda. But for me, he's not a factor.
Speaking on that, right? What makes him seem popular is because he's always there on the ground when something happens, which the EFF, I'll give credit to, always does that. However, I hardly see the DA youth wing on the ground tackling issues. Do you guys have a track record of some of the difference you've made on the ground when maybe there was an injustice against a young person where you guys have gone and assisted in some way or the other? Because you're not visible on the ground.
Look, I think for me, my approach, I'm a former SRC president. My approach has always been result-orientated. I personally don't believe in protests, personally. I believe if Sol is has a tire burst, let's fix the tire. As I've said to you, we identified that people are not getting their land. This was after I saw an article of young guys who were having a farm in Umtata, planting in communal land. The ANC government came there and said, this is not your land. They shut that farm down. That's why I took them to the Human Rights Commission. I understood that if I stand there holding placards, it's not really going to sort the problem. Now, you speak about NYDA, for example, that is...
But DA was protesting against Zuma.
Yeah, man.
Zuma must go.
Zuma must go.
They are always protesting in our offices when we're trying to...
You held walks in Joburg. You blocked streets. You marched to the Tuli House, didn't you?
I want to come this way. When we held that walk, it was more about conscientizing people of the problem that is the ANC, because that was after we had acquired the minutes from the ANC. The minutes from Luthuli House said directors and senior managers are hired from Luthuli House. That's why we have load shedding and all these things.
Yeah, but you can't say you don't believe in protest.
No, but it must be a combined approach. After that march, we then took them to court, where we spoke about the cater deployment, So in the DA, we believe in a result-orientated approach. Now, I want to comment on
believe in obsessing about
I want
the
to
ANC.
comment about this thing of Nhlanhla Lux. We need individuals like Nhlanhla Lux. We need individuals like Sol. We need individuals like MacGyver. Because if we fool ourselves and think that it is only one party that can solve the problems of South Africa, we would be lying. We need a whole society approach to fix the problems that we face. I don't necessarily agree with everything that Lux does, but I appreciate his presence of saying, I want to represent my community. So as leaders, I'm giving you advice now, Zumkulu. As leaders, we need to embrace those people. We need to bring them and necessarily guide them where we don't agree. So don't inherit what Nhlanhla and Julius are beefing about.
No, there's no beef between Nhlanhla.
Appreciate the guy.
My
The
man,
guy
Julius
is
is
running,
global figure, chief.
the guy is running neighborhood watches. That's good. He's promoting safety in his neighborhood. I mean, how is that bad? Let's appreciate such people. So as the DA...
It's bad when it has xenophobic connotations.
No, but remember, in terms of...
When there's a specific group of nationals identified as the problem. To say that crime has a flag, crime is Zimbabwean, crime is Nigerian.
No,
a criminal is a criminal. So yes, we must protect our communities.
Yes.
And yes, we must fight against drugs, but we cannot promote the killing of Africans by other Africans.
I think you have selective hearing.
We cannot...
I said I don't agree with everything he does.
Yeah, but...
Let's speak about when...
But why are you just brushing it off?
Look,
as if this gentleman you're speaking of is not popular for saying foreigners must leave our country.
The time I started following Nhlanhla Lux was when he stood up and said the EFF will not shut down businesses in my community. I supported that.
Yeah, because the businesses belong to your bosses in the DA.
I mean, what bosses of mine are...
Yeah, the ones who own the malls.
Doesn't deserve us having such a long discussion about it.
Okay, cool. Let me move on to questions from chillers then, yeah? Mm-hmm. All right, first question is, what's your guys' plan regarding decolonization of the education system from primary to tertiary level? Who wants to take that one?
Okay, I
can take that one. So look at the center of the decolonization. Of course, there are different elements to it. There's the who is teaching, there's the what is being taught, there's also how is it being taught. So if you wanted to look at it at the most basic level, like primary school or creche, is to say, look, let us teach. For example, you go to a school in the township, and then they'll be teaching mathematics in English. So let us have subjects, STEM subjects, science, maths, physics, that are being taught in a language that the learners understand. But also it's who is teaching. So if you go to spaces of knowledge production, your universities, majority of the professors, the lecturers, they are white. And then when you look outside, the person who looks like you is either a ground staff or is a security at the gate. So it's threefold and many more. So who teaches? Let's have people who look like us who teach. What is being taught? Let's be taught things that are part of our lived experience and not just take things that come from overseas and want to put them here in South Africa, but also how is it being taught? The type of examples, like a very basic thing, the type of examples in a matric exam. You know, those things, Lucy was watching Cartoon Network. And Cartoon
Which subjects did you do?
As Cartoon Network. So it's a combination of that. So the even at a basic level of the type of examples that you use when you are teaching, they must reflect the communities that you exist in. So that is like a very simplistic understanding of what we mean when we want to say we want to transform, we want to decolonize education.
Yeah. Well, I think firstly, education shouldn't be a commodity. We can't be buying bread and then buy education at the same time. So I think we applaud the ANC for changing NEFSAS from a loan to a grant, but we need free education. This is an agitation we raise against the ANC all the time, as well as we need to introduce history as a compulsory subject. We need to know what happened in South Africa instead of being taught about the World War I, World War II all the time. As well as we need to teach and learn in African languages. The fact that we speaking English here is a bit embarrassing when we've got 11 or so indigenous languages in South Africa. Our exam papers in high school still come with English and Afrikaans. So those small things really need to change, and we need an African language.
So when you tell these guys this stuff, what do they say?
The ANC is a contested terrain. As much as they are young people, they are old people. So they are competing interests. And we have individuals who are fixated on their retirement plan. That's why we are saying that when the ANC was lax in the formation of the ANC Youth League, the ANC Youth League had to agitate it towards an armed struggle. So the ANC has always had a contradictory and a complementary relationship with the African National Congress. We are not praise singers in the ANC. We are given platform. I can challenge the president.
Wow.
Yeah, and it is allowed. But all we are saying is that we are challenging the leadership, and we think that some of them need to leave.
Okay. Like who would you mention as the Youth League? Which ANC leaders do you think should go? They're redundant. They have no service to South Africa.
I think that if you are sleeping in parliament, if you are sleeping on duty, you are a minister, and we can't point out what you are doing for the people because you're supposed to be playing at home with your grandchildren.
Just give us one.
Just give us a name, my man.
No. Not here to speak about people's names. I'm saying generally, this is not about specific individuals. If you are sleeping in parliament without attaching a name, even if I like you, you're supposed to be at home with your grandkids. And you have, the ANC has educated young people. We currently have about 360,000 unemployed graduates. Those young people are ready to take over the public and private sector. So we must have a policy of retirement at the age of 65 in parliament.
Do you think SA is a failed state or a gangster's paradise?
It's like both. And I want to relate it to the question that you were asking.
Okay.
The gentleman here, I was really listening to them attentively. We can never separate education from everything else. Education goes hand in hand with health, goes hand in hand with what you eat, the welfare of a child. Yes, now we're starting it from a basic level. In Limpopo in 2014, a 4-year-old child drowned in a pit toilet. whether that education is decolonized or not, but whilst you still have schools that have pit toilets, how is that child going to be able to at least ensure their safety? Just last year in Eastern Cape, a 6-year-old was found dead in a pit toilet. Last year, there are still kids who are using pit toilets. And we want to come here. Secondly, you've got the Bella bill that the ANC government wants to pass. We are busy with public hearings now. I want to ask my colleagues, did they go to that Bella bill hearing and what were their inputs? Because the Bella bill is saying we want to take power away from the schools and from the SGBs. SGBs being parents that can be able to influence the basic education sector of their own children. You, MacG, to say, I want my child to be taught this, and this. The SGB. ANC government is saying we are taking all of this away. And that bill, the last hearing was this Sunday. I was there. I visited about 6 hearings, and South Africans are rejecting that bill. It came up with them. EFF was not there. Yet people come here and say they want to speak about transforming education. That's why I was saying, most of the time, South Africans, we are in this mess because we do not participate where it actually matters the most. Where it matters the most is in these hearings. Where it matters the most is to influence legislation, because we are governed by legislation, not by empty rhetoric or going to Russia.
But rhetoric.
Clearly, you don't want decolonized education. You
If you wanted to ask about pit toilets, you would have asked us about pit toilets.
Now let's speak
about decolonization.
Now let's speak about this decolonized education. South Africa is a country that finds itself in the greater context of the world. How we decolonize our education? For me personally, I would rather say, how are we transforming our education to ensure that my son can be able to compete with anyone from any country? It is more than just decolonization, but it is about transformation. My colleagues here, especially this one who always goes to China, are speaking about home language teaching. Look at China. China in 2018 went on an aggressive campaign to hire graduates that were failed by the ANC government to go and teach kids in preschool in China English because they want to globalize.
Yeah, they still do.
You get, because they're globalizing. Now you are saying the whole world is moving towards English and competing globally.
The Chinese
but in Africa,
Mandarin.
we must remove English and go to our
what did China do to you,
literally a cultural revolution.
You really have a big problem with China.
What's your understanding of the cultural revolution?
Second most powerful economy in the world.
Like you can't say China created an
might be the first
of its own.
Yeah, I don't understand.
He
has an agenda against China.
It's taught in the way that it wants to teach, and now it's probably arguably the biggest economy in the world. There was a cultural revolution in China. Leave these other things, cultural, to say we want to have a Chinese identity. We don't want to take on the identity of Europe. We don't want to take on the identity of America. We're going to do everything China. Even Coca-Cola in
even
China.
the Arabs are like that.
The success of China is them owning their language. They speak Mandarin. Instead of speaking English,
Why are they
they're
teaching
actually
English?
spreading Mandarin into the world.
No, don't lie.
In fact, Mandarin will soon be the biggest language in the world. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, don't lie. China currently, from 2018 already, is an aggressive campaign.
No, it's not an aggressive campaign. We also have in South Africa schools which are teaching Italian, French, etc. Of course, we must coexist in the world. But primarily, what should we be teaching South Africans? We shouldn't be teaching them English. We should be teaching them their mother tongue.
Look, I have nothing against mother tongue language. I was there.
You are saying we must learn English. You are saying we must not decolonize the education in our country.
I said education must more than just be decolonized.
You are saying we must focus on pit toilets and not education.
No, but pit toilets are very important because our kids are dying.
More than education.
How will a dead person be educated? Come on, bro.
But you see the other.
Now, I want to speak about this thing of mother tongue preservation. Mother tongue preservation in Stellenbosch. In Stellenbosch, they went there. They said we want to get rid of Afrikaans. Afrikaans is a mother tongue. Instead of saying we want to transform Stellenbosch to accommodate Xhosa,
no, they didn't say they want to get rid of
Swati,
Afrikaans. They said they want to get rid of Afrikaans as a medium of instruction.
No.
Very important, my man. Medium of instruction. Which means
have you read the
you
report?
must not force me. You must not force to teach me in Afrikaans.
Did you read the report?
You are bastardizing what I said.
No, did you read the report?
It's like us. The EFF says we don't want distem in our anthem. And then DA stands up and says the EFF is anti-Afrikaans. No. We don't want to distem because those lyrics were sung when our parents were being killed by the National Party. We're saying you can have Afrikaans in the anthem. CIC even says you can say Bayamo, South Africa.
But now you're moving.
We don't
you're
care.
moving to the anthem.
But
I asked
the
you a
point
simple
I'm
question. Did you
making,
read
the point I'm making, there is no one. I did read the report. There is no one who wants to get rid of Afrikaans, my bro.
Look,
But you don't want Afrikaans to be the primary medium of instruction.
I got another question here. Please ask the EFF guy, if Julius Malema were to step down, who should be the next EFF
you
leader?
will be fired.
No, there's nothing to be fired. Everyone in the EFF is capable of leading the EFF. All the leaders,
the same way you ask
anyone. When the time comes, the president wants to step down or no longer wants to contest, the EFF has many capable leaders.
So it's up to him?
What do you mean it's up to him?
So no one can contest him?
No, people can contest him. In the last election, people were saying our deputy president can never be contested. But Dalim Pofu contested the DP Floyd. So anyone can contest in the EFF. There is no such thing of there's one person who everyone is scared of. It's a fallacy that they want to perpetuate so that they can scare our people away from the EFF.
Who do you think is capable of taking over this?
In the EFF, I don't know. I think Naledi is quite a good, sharp young person. And she comes from my hood, my Melody. So
Okay.
One.
I think Naledi would be good to take over. But you see in the EFF, young people are not allowed to flourish. Look at what they did to Nglozi. I feel worried about the Naledi characters as well. Even him, we don't know if they will have space to breathe there. But I think that as Africans, as Black people and as South Africans, we must, even if we have contradictions on how we solve the problems of our country, but the same way that our forebearers, even though they had different political ideologies, were able to unite against apartheid, we must unite against unemployment. So young people must be given the space, even him.
I get you. All right, another question to Mr. Nyati. I really want to know, what are his thoughts regarding the Biko's Black consciousness, and to what extent does or doesn't he subscribe to it?
Look, as a Black person, I would be doing myself injustice if I don't subscribe to Black consciousness. And I think the mistake that young people make, especially where I come from, is to misinterpret Black consciousness as a hate for another race. That's not what Black consciousness seeks to achieve. Black consciousness is love for oneself and the ability to recognize that you can compete with any other race. That's why I can be in the same party as a white person and not have an inferiority complex where I think the white person is above me, but we are rather equals. That's Black consciousness. And we need it for some of the people in South Africa.
He's going to Harvard,
to actually
definitely.
understand it.
He's leaving.
Have you ever experienced racism in the DA?
I've never. I've never. Honestly speaking, I've never.
There's no truth to that.
My man, are you?
Is that why you guys have a Black focus?
I'm saying I have never experienced. I'm not saying racism doesn't exist. I'm saying I personally have never experienced racism. I've experienced ageism. I've experienced sexism, where people think because they are old they can say as they please, and because I've led from a very young age, I'm able to tackle those people, and perhaps that's why sometimes you lose conferences, because you fight with the wrong people. But if you are a leader and you are conscious enough to relate again to that Black consciousness, you will fight it head on. But I've never experienced racism in the DA or anywhere.
Have you experienced racism in South Africa?
My man, the first time in my life, I'll tell you a funny story. I ever interacted with a white person like this, I was in my first year. I wasn't like him that went to a boys' school.
But you didn't answer the question.
No, I'm saying that's why I don't have a long time where I interacted with white people.
Yeah,
So
but it's not a
never
duration thing. It's not-
I've never really experienced racism. Never.
In the whole of South Africa?
In the whole of South Africa?
Not even when you were drinking somewhere and then there's a white person who
In Cape Town.
but this guy is
South Africa.
man.
Look,
man is
The airport is racist. The airport
Remember, he's an interim. He's an interim leader.
he's contesting.
Yeah, he's an interim leader. So
No. MacG, let me correct you.
you haven't experienced racism
In
in
the
South
whole of South Africa your whole life. Not even a white person.
Why do you
stands
guys
in
have a
front of you
Black
in the line.
caucus? Isn't that racist?
Now I must come and say I've experienced it when I haven't. I want to correct you.
What country are you living in?
David Starman is a late king of the Khoisan San. It's not a colonial name. Yeah, it's not colonial. It's
I just saw Steerman. I was like,
no. He's a king of the Khoisan.
wow, okay.
The first descendants of the land. That's why the airport was named after them. Personally, I've never, honestly, look.
Wow.
I remember one
You never
time.
sat next to a white person on a plane.
I want to make you an example. And I'm going to relate it to Kolegani. I was an SRC president. I received a letter from Zimbabwean students, their association. They said there was xenophobic attacks in the residence where they stayed. I said, what are these xenophobic attacks? They were getting woken up at night. They were getting beaten up by South Africans. We intervened. I wrote to the VC, Dr. Mburu, who was the director of housing at the time. All to find out what was happening in that residence was this thing called initiation. Their first thought was that because you're South African, I'm Zimbabwean, it's xenophobic. So whenever a person interacts with me, I don't just jump to racism. That's what I'm saying. When I experienced ageism, it was from a white person. But as I was debating with this person, they were speaking to me to say, you are young, you get. So it was no longer racism, but it was ageism. Now, what mistakes that South Africans make is that this one is saying, if a white person skips you in the queue, it's racism. If I'm skipped by a black person, what is it?
I'm just making an example, my man. I'm saying
when a white person says dogs are
never been undermined by a white person.
If racism.
Look, that is racism. I agree with you. But I'm saying,
This is the only black guy in South Africa who has never experienced racism.
no, but I've never. So, racism exists. MacG, racism exists. It exists, but I've never. No, but remember, when I'm in Cape Town, it's either I'm in the hotel or I go to
This guy.
It's so bad. We don't even stay in those posh hotels anymore. We go in the hood by Ace. Yeah, because there's no racism there. Yeah, there's no racism there. Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah, it's bad.
No, man, this guy is contesting.
When are you guys going there again?
So he doesn't want to say these things.
You know, I always get my friends to say, hey, brother, there was racism, we fought. I'm like, but why does it not happen?
And they're obnoxious about it. They know you won't do anything. Or the black people that side don't do anything. So they're even cocky about it.
Be careful about
the Joburg ones, they're racist, but if you don't do anything to them, they won't do anything to you.
Apparently, Free State is also. I don't know. Maybe I must visit.
Be careful about being brewed into some form of an Uncle Ruckus.
Like I've visited Pal, where I stayed in PNPs with white people.
They love you.
Never.
Man, everywhere, Free State.
like honestly speaking, I don't know.
What's that small town, man? This Free State, Neisner.
Nice, close to the Eastern Cape. When I go to
Clarence.
Leave the microaggressions, my brother. Because racism is also the structure of society in terms of how resources are allocated in society. You just told us that you grew up humble beginnings, struggling, a kasi. Do you understand that the fact that you stayed in the township is a product of racism?
Apartheid, yes.
So you've experienced racism.
Look, No. MacG. No, look. Sol. South African. He grew up in the township and experienced it. But I'm saying I've never had an interaction. Remember when you and MacG were speaking about your incident where this white kid came to you with a skateboard? I've never experienced that. But structurally, I would be lying as a South African to say I've never. I have.
No, it's fine. Do you guys watch the show Sizok'thola?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? Someone asked, can we protect Xolani?
Yeah, all good Samaritans who are doing good work in the community should be protected.
But he's not allowed to be. He's getting death threats.
Yeah, but he's always rolling with the police. So that's a good thing. For me, what Xolani is doing spells that the ending of crime is not a responsibility of the police alone. It should be working together with the community. When the community is involved and working with the police, that's how we fight crime. So Xolani is doing very good work, and he should be protected by the state.
The same people that should be protecting us are the ones not allowing him to do his job because they're the ones that benefit from the crime.
Of course, drug cartels will find him threatening, which is why the police must protect him. And I'm happy that when he goes to these raids,
how are the police going to do that when they've been bought by the cartels?
He should also expose them. We should work together to expose them. The point is, he's a member of the community. We need more citizens to be active citizens and involved in exposing.
No one was
crime will never end in South Africa unless we remove the ANC from power. Now, let's take.
I can agree with you.
Let's take a statement from their former president, not me.
VBS is also crime. On-point engineering is also crime.
Country, President Thabo Mbeki says there were certain municipalities run by the ANC where they were paying izinkabi, like from the municipal balance sheets, but the ANC, like they are working there to go and kill people. Damn. So from them, no, this is not me saying it, it's the former president of the ANC. Do you think a government like that will ever end? Recently, they're saying part of the reason why ESCOM is collapsing is because there are construction mafias that are even controlling the tender processes of ESCOM. So the ANC is a criminal syndicate. Until we remove the ANC from power and put in a government of the EFF,
of VBS, of on-point engineering.
Earlier you asked the question.
Julius dilapidated the coffers of Limpopo when he was still president of the Youth League.
We've got gangsters and a failed state. Because you have someone now who must do the work of police.
No.
He must investigate.
We have something called community policing forum.
He must be a forensic unit. And then you know what's surprising? The criminals he arrests, tomorrow, they're out on bail. All of them.
Yeah.
Go and follow those cases.
Look.
And that says something about the governing party. Have you ever seen Peggy Cele
the cartels that sell drugs in our communities live in our communities. So if members of the communities do not expose these people and allow them to flourish in communities, we will not end crime. So we need active citizenship. Yes, the police must do their job, but we also have responsibilities.
But you guys
to be
kill whistleblowers. You know, it's so difficult to be a whistleblower in South Africa. I can go to the police station and say, there's a drug dealer up at Kasi. The same police will go and tell that drug dealer that Sihle came to report you, and then I'm gone.
It's curtains.
So the ANC is the problem.
Yeah,
the ANC must be removed.
Which is why you dream about it at night. All you do is dream about the ANC. It's your obsession.
And then let's look at this VPS, because everyone is crazy about VPS. And I think this is the danger.
I didn't get my sham from Vanda.
This is the danger of media, especially media that is sponsored to push a particular propaganda. If you look at the forensic report of VPS, which I read all of it, there is no mention of our president in VPS. There is no mention of any EFF leader in VPS. There is mention of many ANC leaders on the forensic report. The only part where it's mentioned is a brother of the deputy president. I think the amount is like 6 million, which he has repaid back. But when you say
a mistake, like it's an e-wallet.
when you speak about VPS, everyone is saying EFF. But billions were plundered from VPS. Municipalities were using VPS, which was not allowed because municipalities are not allowed to use a mutual bank. ANC-run municipalities collapsed that bank of VPS. But they want to now push...
There is on-point engineering.
They are still voting for ANC to govern the municipalities.
There is on-point engineering of Julius. This is not the first time. Remember what I told you he did to our bank accounts of the Youth League? What he did in Limpopo when he was still president of the Youth League in the coffers of the Limpopo province when he was asked to build a road. He has clearly displayed that what they want is for us to replace those who are corrupt in the ANC with those who are corrupt in the EFF. All corruption must be...
What did you guys think about the Ace Mashashula? Yeah, being expelled, yeah?
Yeah, he can start. He's going to join this one.
What do you think? What did you answer?
Yeah,
I must be careful now. Because
we respect the decision of the African National Congress, and the ANC will always cleanse itself. And we think that the SG or former SG was given a chance for reprieve and to explain himself to the ANC on why he shouldn't be expelled, but he did not use that opportunity. There's no individual who's bigger than the movement, and the ANC has decided to expel him. We respect.
That was shocking. Weren't you guys shocked?
Imagine if Ace was DA, the headlines.
I don't get that one.
I'm saying, imagine if Ace Magashule was a DA member, former DA leader, suspended by Helen Zille or expelled by Helen. The outrage in this country. It's the double standards. These people suspended Ace because he was in a different faction to Cyril Ramaphosa. What is happening there is a cleansing ceremony for Ramaphosa. He can't speak about Phala, he can't speak about Ramaphosa, or else they're going to deal with him. And that is the problem within the ANC. Whoever at the time controls the NEC.
Is that true? Can you talk about
You can't speak about Phala.
What? Ask me a question.
Okay. Leave the other deep investigations. Brad, do you think it's normal to hide dollars?
The public protector cleared the president of any wrongdoing. The public protector cleared the president of
shady.
any wrongdoing.
Cash, matrasin, couches. Those are things of drug dealers.
It's his money. If it's his money, he can put it wherever he wants.
No, but it's against SARS. This man.
The public protector
No.
cleared the president of any wrongdoing. SARS
My
cleared the president of any wrongdoing.
Young lion.
You just said
lion.
you just
You
said
know that it's
you
illegal to trade in
you
foreign
spoke
currencies
of
in
forensic reports, and I'm saying I'm pointing you to the public protector. I'm pointing you to the SARS
Which one?
commissioner.
Do you
Ramaphosa fired the public protector, put in a deputy that cleared him.
But the public protector cleared the president. SARS
it's like you
cleared the
saw
president.
employing
You can't,
for-
on the other hand, speak of forensic reports, and on the other hand, undermine those
Is it illegal
forensic.
to trade in foreign currency in South Africa?
If it's his money, hey man, he can do whatever he wants with it.
Is it illegal? Yes or no? According to your knowledge, is it illegal to trade in foreign currency in South Africa?
The public protector cleared the president.
We
The
have
SARS
hope in you.
commissioner
Is
cleared
it
the
illegal?
president.
Yes or no, my man?
The
Even
president
if
did
you was
nothing
buying
wrong.
bread, even
the
if you was
president
buying
of the
bread.
country and the African National Congress
This is
did
the
nothing
problem
wrong.
with youth in the ANC, and this is why we can't trust them. Because they are too fearful of speaking truth to power.
Just like you
When
and
he
Julius.
came in, he said, I'm
We're
able
not
to go
fearful
in
of
and speak
speaking
truth
to power.
If he's
We
a young
challenge the
lion, he
president.
must be able
We
to say,
challenge
this guy is my
Zuma,
president.
we challenge
but
President
it's illegal
Kgalema
to
Motlanthe
trade
and
foreign
Thabo Mbeki.
currency in South Africa. It's dodgy to hide dollars under
At least I can speak about the president. You can't even whiff about Julius.
Bro, CK, tell me something, right? You said the ANC is a criminal syndicate. Then why does it seem like the EFF is open, to working with the ANC when it comes to coalitions? Because there seems to be a bromance between the EFF and the ANC. So if they're as filthy as you claim, why is the EFF even open, to get into coalition with them?
No, firstly, we are not in a coalition with the ANC. And I think this is the same mistake that people made when we voted for candidates which were fielded by the DA.
Okay.
So how we operate in local government municipalities is we look at the candidate and we look at the program that the party wants to push within that particular municipality. If it's speaking directly to service delivery, it becomes immaterial for us whether it's this party has one seat, it's ATM, whether it's this, whether it's that. If they are going to serve, because local government is not really that much about ideologies. You give people water, you give people electricity, you clean the streets, you make sure they are clean. So if there is a candidate, whether they are ANC, we removed ANC in some municipality, I forgot, to show that we're not in a coalition with the ANC. So there's no coalition we're having with the ANC.
Can you please read the definition of coalition?
A temporary alliance for combined action, especially of
Which is what
political
they're doing.
parties forming a government.
This is what they're doing.
we're not forming
They're
a government
combining,
with ANC.
they're forming a government, they've got MMCs.
Were we in a coalition with the DA?
With the DA, you are not in government with us because you did not have MMCs. With the ANC, you are governing, you're part of the mayoral committee. That's the executive. That's government.
No, we're simply contesting. Remember, we've taken a different attitude.
You're in
Before,
government, but not
we
in
did
government.
not want to be in government. But now we got to see that the people of South Africa want to see what will the EFF look like when it takes
So you're in government with the
That's why
ANC.
when we're in Ekurhuleni, already people are starting to see results. On Twitter, they'll go out and say, Ish, all of a sudden there are trucks that are coming in to clean
you are
the
in
townships.
government with the
These are
ANC.
things we did not see before.
nothing wrong,
So
we can see
we've
it.
taken a different posture to say we want to demonstrate to South Africans what the EFF can do when it's in government.
Are you in government with the ANC?
We're not in government with the ANC.
Are you?
You're
Your
behaving-
MI6 sits here.
You're behaving like a bitter ex.
We're not in
No.
government with the ANC.
You know, Kulagani,
We don't want
the
the-
DA was
Like
very
a
clear.
bitter ex.
The DA was very
want
Do you
clear.
want them back?
No, we said we will never be in a coalition with the EFF. We'll never give them
It must be
speaker,
noted
we'll
that
never
in
give
all
them
these
mayor,
municipalities,
we'll never give them
majority of
anything.
the people voted for the ANC. We don't think that coalition is good because it undermines majoritarian rule. And we have more seats. We got more votes. We should be
No, but
government.
majority
That's
is
why.
50% plus one, my brother. The basic, if you search it there on Google.
That's how they thrive.
Majority
because-
means 50%
That's how they thrive
plus one.
because they are
If you
finding
get
it difficult
30%, you
for
can't
over
claim
10
to have
years
a majority.
to pass the 10%
You
mark.
can't claim to have.
South Africans
Okay,
have-
here's another
are
fact.
supporting the ANC.
Here's another fact.
The only reason
the EFF
that
is
we've
the
dwindled
only
in support
organization.
is because instead of our people voting for either one of them, they choose to stay home. They are angry with the ANC.
ANC is
but
declining.
Yes, it's declining because our people are
And
not
the
coming
EFF
out to
is
vote,
growing.
but they're not voting for them.
The EFF is growing.
For 10 years.
Scientifically, the EFF is growing.
For 10 years.
I want to start with
We've
you,
clobbered you
comrade.
for 10 decisive years.
No, you're
Comrade,
declining.
10 years.
You're going below
Sambok.
in Gauteng.
Let's start
We're going
with,
to clobber you in 2024
guys,
again.
Let's start with
And-
MacG should have offered some gin. I see tensions are high. Relax. We're not fighting.
I want to start with you, no? Comrade Nyati. Misconception about the biggest misconception about your party. What do you think it is?
Racist, white, yeah.
Comrade?
Well, there are two. The first one is this unscientific idea that there's a dictatorship in our organization, which is not true. And I think Ipsos has pointed to that. The organization is more popular than its leader. The organization is democratic, even in terms of its demographics. But secondly, this misconception that the EFF is an organization of crazy people who just want to protest and what, it's a lie. And we're beginning to see that as the EFF takes up MMCs, people are starting to see results in the EFF governing. So those are,
With the
the two
ANC.
primary misconceptions that were beginning to change. And I think the people of South Africa can see that shift, even in terms of some of our leaders. When they started in 2013, there's a huge difference in how they are now in 2024 when we're finishing 10 years. So we're ready to take government. And in 2024, young people are saying 2024 is the 1994 of youth in South Africa.
Crazy. You, comrade?
Yeah, they're not governing. They've hitched a ride. Even when they offered South Africans free everything, South Africans are still not voting for them. The misconception about the ANC is that the ANC is corrupt. It's not the ANC that is corrupt. It's opportunists who are members of the ANC who are corrupt. And that's why we have the Integrity Committee now to get rid of those people. And we think that they are a violent organization because they burn down buildings and do all of those things. People have realized that they're an organization of chaos, and we cannot have chaos replacing...
The biggest riot post-1994 in South Africa was as a result of a factional fight of the ANC.
The biggest riot?
Post-1994.
As a result of the ANC?
A factional fight in the ANC of wanting to arrest a former president and riots break out, looting break out. That was a product of the ANC directly.
Let's not digress. Let's give him a
Yes.
chance.
He wants to talk about it. Speak about yourself, my man.
Here's another misconception.
Talk about yourself, Chief. Hey. Speak about yourself, Chief. Listen, I spoke about myself. Speak about yourself.
Yeah, the ANC is not perfect, but they should not come here and say that they are not a chaotic organization. I mean, you see it in the face of
it. We'll be here till tomorrow.
The ANC is not a corrupt
It
organization.
doesn't expedite.
The ANC is not a corrupt organization. The ANC, young people will take over. We are getting rid of those corrupt thorns, and many examples have
But
been
we can't get
cited
rid of
already.
Ramaphosa. Well,
We can't get rid of Ramaphosa. Fortunately, in the ANC, there's a cycle of leadership. We've had 12 presidents, and Ramaphosa will serve his term because we're going to Muryu next year and finish his
Never.
term. And after I finish his term, we'll have another president.
Never.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We'll bring you another leader of the country. We'll take us to greener pastures.
You know,
a
there's
better
only
life for all.
9% difference in terms of polling between the DA and the ANC.
Another Ipsos
Which
story.
poll?
Let's not talk about Ipsos
poll.
and polling. Let's
not
talk
true.
about the IEC, which
must go and
pronounces
check it.
results of the country, and they will declare a decisive victory for the African National Congress in 2024.
We must have
and you
this
know
thing
this,
after elections.
both
We
of you.
must come here, all of us.
Yeah.
After elections. I will buy the gym myself. You must come here. You must come here.
I got one more question from a chiller. Ask them what positive things can they best learn from their opposing parties, and also one aspect of the opposing parties that they admire. Look, we can start with you.
Look, I think from the EFF, they've found a way to simplify their message. Although I don't agree with their message, but they found a way to really simplify it. If you look in terms of their marketing, they'll just say jobs, although they don't explain it. I think in the DA, for the longest of time, we like being academic because we want to actually outline the solutions. How will we create jobs? And most of the time, we don't hit where it matters the most with our constituents. From the ANC, I think it's that if in your party you don't promote accountability and take the backlash, you will end up like them. For example, in the DA, I remember there was a guy whose thing came to FedEx. I sit in FedEx. And I was the one person who was vocal to say, we need to fire this guy. And everyone was like, no, the perception would be that he's black, we are after black people. And I said, if we do not, then we'll turn into an ANC, because that's how it starts. You forgive MacG because it will be detrimental to lose a mayor or to lose a speaker. But if you don't remove that person for wrongdoing, you'll end up like these ones. I think those are the two things that I can really honestly take from these two parties.
Got you. And then you?
I don't have anything good to say about the DA. I also don't have anything good to say about the ANC.
Fair enough. And you?
Yeah. We've learned what not to do in the governance of the Democratic Alliance. But look, for us, non-rationalism, non-sexism, inclusivity, all ethnic and racial groups in our country, South Africa belongs to all who live in it, and we think that we should unite our people. That's why the ANC is the most non-racial organization, and we think that
what do you
it's the
admire
youngest
from-
organization.
do you
This guy
admire?
doesn't answer questions.
What do you admire from these parties? Is there anything that you do admire that you think the ANC could do better that they're doing?
We've learned that their relationship hasn't worked, so we are not planning to have a relationship with either of them. We're planning to win decisively in 2024. So we have learned that coalition governments...
What is the one thing from DA that you admire? Like, that you like about what they're doing?
We don't have to fight all the
nothing,
time.
Nothing.
Because like you said you like
No, I like...
the EFF's
That was lack of...
simpling.
Look, ANC has got brilliant policies. I mean, we will not lie about that. Although I don't agree with BE, but some of they speak about non-racial society. The DA speaks about a non-racial society.
So that's what
you
you're saying. So
we are
is there
basically
anything
saying
that you
the same
admire
thing when it
about
comes
DA and
to
EFF?
non-sexism, non-racialism. It's just that the other one practices it, the other one doesn't.
Is there anything you admire?
Unfortunately not.
Wow.
My heart is in the African National Congress. I see nothing inspirational.
Indoctrinate them young.
Yeah.
Okay, take yourselves out of your political parties, ne? So let's just say Sipomile is my cheat. You're not part of ANC, you're not part of DA, you're not part of EFF. What do you think about the political system as a young person in 2023? Like the system in general, not parties, but the political system, like how it works. What do you guys think about it?
I think that the fact that people sacrifice their rights for their lives for the right to vote means that we need more young people to be active in the political system, in the political fray. Whether you like politics or not, they will definitely affect you. So we need more young people to be involved and not leave it up to career politicians who are only there for...
Yeah, but what do you think about the system in itself, the ideology behind it? Do you think it works in this current
it's
time
now
that we're in?
it's now being dynamic because there's a law that has been introduced which allows independent candidates to contest. So I don't think it should just be about political parties. The people have always led themselves. Even the formation of the ANC, it is because of the people. So it should be the people who are at the forefront, not politicians who are at the forefront. So the politicians need to listen to the people. But for that to happen, young people must be involved. All decisive action in this country has depended on a youth that is actively challenging the status quo. So whether you're in the EFF, DA, or ANC, or non-partisan at all, but as a young person, you need to be involved and patriotic. We need to love our country. We can't be fighting for a library, then burn a clinic. In 1976, the youth of 1976 didn't burn down a single school. But you have our communities in Vuani everywhere. When they are protesting for the establishment of a municipality, they burn down 30 schools. So we need to love our country. And when we're patriotic, that's how we do active citizenship.
What do you think, Comrade Nyati?
Look, if you look at South Africa, we've got the most liberal constitution in the world, and we still have a somewhat healthy democracy. But I think in society in general, the only thing we're missing is voter education. And that plays a critical role because it speaks to voter apathy, where people actually understand what their vote means and why they need to vote. So I think in terms of the system, what the current government has done very well, or perhaps where civil society has failed, is that we do not educate our people enough on the importance of voting. I was watching a documentary the other day when Obama won his presidency. How he started it was that he started an NPO 10 years before he even contested to be a senator that spoke about voter education, just teaching people about the importance to vote. Because what we have is that people will say, I'm not interested in politics. I'm not going to vote. All of them are the same. All of them fail. They don't understand that your vote can actually remove them, you get, and put another one. If this one fails, you remove them, you put another one. And interestingly enough, I don't think this thing of independent candidates is new. We've always had independent candidates at the local government level, but they never won. Instead, it became spoiled votes because people would vote for them. They don't even get enough threshold to have a seat. It became spoiled votes. So I think voter education is important, not just for ordinary residents, but for also leaders like Kulekani, so that they can understand the system more and actually speak about the system and not the ANC.
Comrade Sizok'thola?
Yeah, I do think really young people must. I don't think IEC is doing enough to get young people on board in terms of their participation. And I think it benefits the ANC for young people to not participate. I mean, there are about, I think, 39 million people eligible to vote. Within the ages, I think 17 to 35, 5.9 million eligible and not registered to vote. And then when you go up, I think it's for over 65, it's less than 900,000. So there's like more than 11 million people who are eligible to vote, which means they can actually vote, but they're not registered to vote. And the ANC wins a national election with an odd 10 million votes. So it benefits the ANC for young people to say, now we don't care. But the day young people take a decisive decision to participate in voting, I can tell you now, without any fear of contradiction, that would be the end and the death of the ANC in government. And then just to touch on this thing, because the ANC likes to jump on this thing, June 16. Do you know that when the June 16 happened, the first statement that the ANC released was to condemn the young people? Look at it. When June 16, today ANC wants to speak about June 16 as if they are so proud of what the young people did. The first statement from the ANC was to condemn, to say we condemn the recklessness of the youth. So the ANC has never, as a first instance, sided with the voices of young people. It's the same with Fees Must Fall. The Minister of Higher Education came and said, students must fall. So as a first instance, the ANC has never sided with youth. But then as time goes to try and appeal and steal the narrative, all of a sudden, they are having lectures. Ramaphosa is going to speak in June 16, but the ANC denounced June 16.
Like Malema used to speak in June 16 when you were still ANC Youth League president.
What do you think about that? What do you think? So, what do you think of the political system?
Bro, man, it's messed up because it's not working for us. You know what I mean? It's fine on paper, ideally, and on principle, but it just doesn't work out. Look at where we are as a country, you know? Just like with the Constitution and everything else. It works on paper, but it doesn't work. It's impractical.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's archaic, bro. Because, like, the way I see it, whether ANC wins next year, right? If ANC wins, Cyril Ramaphosa's people are going to eat, right? If DA wins, Helen Ziller and her people are going to eat.
But they're not
if EFF wins, it's
Everyone
Julius
is gonna eat.
and his people eat. So, you get what I'm saying? So, for me, I think we need to move with the times. There's so much technology, bro. Like, you know how what Bitcoin did to the banking system? We need something like that for the political system. A disruptive system whereby, I don't know, like, for example, if there's a tender, anyone who is eligible to apply for that tender, coins it into the AI, whatever, and it generates who's the best, who can be the best person to do that job, irrespective of color, of age, whatever. The AI spits out the best company to do that.
Mac, statistically, the best company is most likely going to be a white company. And then what's that going to do is it's going to create more Johan Ruperts, and then we'll get richer. And now, you know, who's got the skills, but who can do the job just as well, just doesn't have 20 years experience doing the job, doesn't get that gig. And then it further creates that big gap between the haves and the have-nots, generally, which tends to be white and black, respectively.
It does, right? But at first, we need to make sure the country's running. So the roads are fixed. There's no load shedding. Then, from there, we can get to how does NER become a Rupert while the country is functioning.
But MacGyver, the system allows you. Remember I said voter education is important. Currently, MFMA, which is Municipal Financial Management Act, together with the Structures and Systems Act, it allows individuals like yourself to go to the BAC, which is the Bid Adjudication Committee that discusses tenders, to actually go there and view that here are parties, here they are competing.
Yeah, but you know there's envelopes being paid behind closed doors.
At least that system of accountability. And then in terms of the tender process, everyone will be told, here are 5 companies, all of them have applied. Then they debate in front of you. After all of that is done, anyone can go and object to that system. And
say, where is that going to go, man?
No, I will tell you. When we took over in 2016 in NMP, I was a mayoral advisor. When we took over, many projects were not moving because there had been objections of the irregular tender systems that were transpiring in NMP. We took over, we fixed all the queries that were there, we started working. In 2021, when the ANC took over, with the help of Julius, where he said he was cutting the throat of whiteness, in 2019 actually, people started shooting each other again because people were then removed from that Bid Adjudication Committee. So there are systems that allow people, but our people don't know about them. And perhaps that's where government is failing. Let's move with the times. Show it online, how the tender was selected, and also allow people within the 14 days to go and object. To object, you don't even
need... That's a very naive way of looking at it. Look, you can have a system that works, but if the key players in that system are not willing to play fair, there is nothing that an ordinary person is going to do to compete against those people. Like, it's what you said as well. You said you are praising the ANC because they've got so many nice policies, but they're failing to implement them. So even in the tender system, and that's why in the EFF, we want the eradication of the tender system. We want to build a capable state. So, for example, you have a situation where in a municipality, we'll outsource a company to come and clean. And then you'll find that per cleaner, maybe we're giving that company, 12,500 rands.
Sure.
When in actual fact, you can come in, employ that cleaner, give them the benefits, make them an employee of the municipality, give them a salary, and you cut out a lot of the middleman costs. So when you have a capable state, you eradicate the tender system, you deal with many of these other corrupt activities that are happening. The fact of the matter is, if you're going to have a tender, there is a markup that you're going to pay. If MacG is good at what he does, why must I speak to Saul, pay Saul to speak to MacG, when I can say, let's employ MacG in government. Let him come and add.
I would listen to you if you were giving practical solutions that are going to benefit the greater public. Number one, there is no municipality that has actually insourced workers that he speaks about that can prove that it is not expensive. By the way, experience teaches us that the workers that we insourced in Nelson Mandela Bay. After we insourced, those workers, because now they are represented by unions, they can do as they like, because we insource them without even an organogram because of the EFF, without even an organogram. The money that they get paid, it's way more than when it was being done by a private sector. The ability with a tender is that if you fail in your tender, I can remove you and get Sol. But if I have hired you, you are internal. Even if you don't work, I can't fire you. You will take me to CCMA and all these places. I'm saying, if we are saying we want to empower the nation, how about then, as young people, I'm just thinking on the top of my head, you're saying you have potholes in your area. How about you say the tender will only be given to a person who stays in that area? That way, we know that in Mamelodi, the tender will be given to fix potholes from a person who stays in Mamelodi, who will hire people.
That happens in Venda, but then the guys just eat amongst each other.
No, but I'm thinking
The
out loud.
municipality must close the pothole. It's the role of government. Like what? Why is government there? If
Chief, you're very quiet, but we're in this mess because of you. And it's very
The
quiet.
government must close the pothole. The government must clean the streets. The government must provide police service, because the next thing you're going to say is that we don't have enough police. Let's get private security to come and fight crime in our communities. Capacitate the police force to fight crime in our police.
Why don't you guys hire people to clean the highways? Like chop the grass. That creates employment.
In Western Cape?
No, in Joburg.
Look, as I've said to you, in a coalition government, it is very difficult. But remember,
Who are you in a coalition with?
who votes for us? we have ACDP, we've got here in Tswana. In how municipality works, there's, in terms of the MFMA, anything that you can do, whether it's to fix a pothole, cut grass, it all starts at the IDP. IDP is you, it's all, it's ordinary citizens going there to say, with our budget, we want our grass to be cut. Then it goes towards a budgetary process that goes to council, where councillors from ANC, EFF, and all those places debate the budget. Then your grass can be cut. What we found in most municipalities, because of the financial year, you'll get an IDP that was adopted. I'll make an example here in Joburg. How many mayors have
They need to set a meeting to cut grass.
No, but guys,
Essentially.
This is why the trucks went missing in Ekurhuleni. They were governing Ekurhuleni, the trucks went missing.
Where we
They had to sit a meeting to
where
cut
we
grass.
where we govern and have governed for a very long time, these things are being done. Because people must not come here and think in the municipality you can just do as you please. There are laws, there are processes. There's so much red tape that we complain about, by the way, to say there is so much red tape. I was in a meeting with Jordan, the mayor of Cape Town. He could not even sponsor a Facebook post of the municipality because it was against the MFMA. MFMA, which is legislated by Parliament. Currently, he pays from his own pocket.
No, but that's
to
the problem
sponsor.
with the tender system. If you have a work of the municipality, it does not need a meeting. My bra, you are working here. Cut the grass.
No.
But if it must be a tender, we must then say, hey, we have grass. Let's publicize tenders. MacG must come. Sol must come. So cut grass.
MacG, you
And have you seen the grass I'm talking about on the highway?
Yes.
No,
Oh, man.
This,
Like, come
this
on.
approach was tried in a municipality in the Eastern Cape. That municipality was trending.
They only cut grass in the Western Cape.
Yes.
No, we do.
In the
Because
Western
we've been
Cape.
governing for so long.
Yeah,
we
but in
influence-
Tswana, you don't
suburbs
cut
of
the
the
grass.
Western
In
Cape.
Johannesburg,
suburbs.
you don't clean the streets.
there's no grass in
The-
Kylie.
the-
But what are you saying?
There's potholes.
This guy.
There's potholes
I'll-
everywhere in the city of Tswane. People are having a water crisis.
Man,
in
we've been
Amanskraal.
planning for 23 years and you're coming here and telling
Yeah,
me about
but
potholes.
how do you justify governing it for 7 years and you've done
7
nothing?
years where these ones are after us. You are after us. You don't approve
The
our
DA
budget.
has governed the city of Tswane for 7
South
years.
Africa give us
and
this.
instead it has plunged.
South Africa, give us this thing.
But you're already sharing it with the ANC.
What years? 7 years? Just give us 5 years.
Oh, you are sharing it with the ANC now.
Give us this thing.
South Africa will never give it to EFF.
In closing, you got a question? Are you? Do you have an idea what you're gonna do next year?
Yeah, bro. I know. Yeah, I know who I'm voting for, bro. Yeah.
I still don't know, man.
What do you mean? But do you know who you're not voting for?
Yes.
Who aren't you voting
ANC.
ANC, definitely.
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 Same here. I'm not, man.
And it's not like, and I'm not saying that
He's not voting for ANC.
no,
Voting for the ANC.
it doesn't make sense. You can't do the same thing and expect a different result. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
Madness.
That's madness.
But you're not going to get it from the DA or the EFF. Yeah.
That's where
It's worth a shot.
The solutions are in the African National
Never.
Stop the cap.
The solutions are in the African
Stop the
National
cap.
Congress. Our people are angry with us. We're resolving the issue of corruption, and we're asking them for a
do you
chance
guys,
in
do you guys
2024.
know? Do you guys know if you ran the government properly, there'd be more money to steal?
Exactly.
Like, if you fatten the cow, you get milk. If you feed the cow, you get milk forever. But if you
no
milk it
sense.
till the blood comes out,
The ANC
They
is
steal
not
the whole
stealing
cow.
any money. It is individuals who steal money, not the African National
individuals
Congress.
who are sent by the ANC.
And we remove
they
them.
train
As soon
you
as
to
there's
do this?
evidence,
Why
we
you are?
remove them. As soon
Kulagat?
we expel them, we send them to jail.
Do they train you to speak like this?
Yeah?
Do they train you?
He
to
doesn't
speak
even
like this?
believe this, bro.
Hey,
He doesn't. He's like,
No. Our people have the ANC in their heart,
You
and
remind
they
me
will
of
not
Jacob
vote for
Zuma.
you, and they're not going to vote for you. And
your people in your hearts. That's the thing.
we have them in our hearts. The ANC is a liberation movement, and in all its trials and tribulations, it has kept the people at the forefront of what
South
it's doing.
Africans, we don't owe the ANC. This thing of liberation movement, South Africans liberated themselves, but used the ANC as a vehicle.
Is that why
Not
you
the other
say
way
the
around.
DA was
So
a
he must not come
fighting
in.
organization?
You know, they like this blackmail. We liberated you. We don't owe you
The ANC
anything.
was not
We've
there.
paid our debt.
They were not there in June 16. They were not there in Sharpeville. They want to hijack all. The people of South Africa liberated South Africa. And then they chose the ANC 1994 as a vehicle. So we must not be blackmailed.
Hey, do you guys think Mandela was a sellout?
Look,
No,
we think that
President Mandela was
the
not a
generation that led back then.
Hero of our country.
Look, this is the analysis of the EFF. That generation had a responsibility to deliver, which they did, political freedom in South Africa. And that generation is gone. It is now our responsibility as young people to deliver economic freedom. Because we make the argument that political power without economic power is meaningless. So we're not in the business of insulting
a
those who
slogan
came before
stolen
us.
from the African National Congress. Youth
Mandela
League.
did play
This
this
is
role.
this is
He
the
gave us
resolution
the
of the
vote.
ANC Youth
Now
League
we
in
want to use the
2011.
vote to deliver.
So they've stolen
bread,
our concepts
to
and they
deliver
want
jobs,
to shine with them
to
as
deliver
if they are
education,
the originators.
to deliver economic freedom to our
freedom is
So you don't think it was a
originated
sellout?
by the African National
No,
Congress.
I don't think it serves anyone to spend time in that debate.
Was he a sellout, yes or no?
No, life has nuance, my man. It's
No.
not a black and
President
white
Mandela was not a sellout. He was a hero of our country. Spent 27 years in prison, and he stabilized the country post 1994. He united our people.
And a
He's
very
hero of
powerful
our
quote
country.
from Nelson Mandela, if we can close with it, is that
So he's
if-
not a sellout,
if
right?
the
We agree.
ANC does
Are you
to
quoting-
you
are
what
you-
the
are you calling him a
apartheid
sellout
government
or
did
not?
to you, do to the ANC what we did to the apartheid
Which is
government.
why we expelled Julius.
Remove
Because he
the
was
ANC
trying to
from
move the
power.
ANC into
Remove the
becoming
ANC
what
from
Nelson Mandela was speaking about. Look, so the ANC cleanses itself and it cleanses itself of pest like your leader.
If Mandela was around, he would have never voted for the ANC.
Oh my God.
I
he
can
would
say
have-
that with my
He
chest.
was an ANC member up until his last breath. And in heaven right now, he has a branch of the ANC with President Tambo over there. Yeah.
This heavenly branch.
This is why they think
Gents,
that.
here's my thing, right? Well, it's actually one of the guys here. They're too shy to ask. If you're president, as in tomorrow, each and every one of you, what's the first thing you're changing? And how do you ensure there's proper service delivery?
Yeah,
Beautiful
we'll start here
question.
with EFF.
Not what Malema will do you.
Look, I'd fix early childhood and basic education. You know, in South Africa, the literacy and numeracy levels are so low. We don't have to go far. Just the ability of learners to read and write. Our learners can't read. They can't write. And once you have a nation that can't read and write, there's nothing that they will ever get right. So what I would tackle as a first instance is the basic education of South Africa. Let's get our learners to be able to read.
But
Let's
that's
get
right,
them to
bro.
be able
Because
to
like, there's
write.
nothing different between you, me, myself, so you guys.
Yeah.
We just got a better education.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing special.
So that's what I would tackle, and then yeah.
I think for
That's it.
I'll go to the one.
Yeah, the first. I'm the go on.
And then we'll take land and...
I think for me personally, it would have to be load shedding. And this is because it breeds a lot of symptoms. Unemployment is a symptom of load shedding. The rise in crime, it's a symptom of load shedding. So I think if you can fix that load shedding, it becomes easier for you as a nation to attract investments. And if you attract investment, it becomes easier to get opportunities for jobs. Now, there's going to obviously be a wide range of things. The education sector, where you do skills development, even at a higher level, to be able to feed those jobs. So, main one, have permanent supply of water and electricity. You can run any country. I think that's the main one.
Yeah. Luckily, we have the Minister of Electricity resolving the issue of load shedding. I would fully implement...
civil engineer sent to solve a mechanical problem, just by the way.
Julius Malema has failed civil in high school, but is leading you.
That's it.
Anyway,
The man has big solutions.
I would fully...
A civil engineer does bridges and roads.
I would fully implement the objectives of the Freedom Charter, and I would prioritize young people. I think that our country and the ANC has done well to prepare young people, but they are not giving us platform. Because, like I said, we have 360,000 unemployed graduates. These are people who are capable. They need platform. They need to be put in ESCOM to resolve the challenges in ESCOM. So I would assist a lot of public sector servants to retire and give them their packages and put young people to take over, because old people have fought for us and gotten us this far, but they need to give young people to take us further in the development of our country. South Africa is still the best place to live in the world and continent.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming through, man. Really appreciate it. And when you guys get in Parliament, please, man, eat, Mara. Just do the job, guys.
I will do the job. And my party will do the job. If I
Government that doesn't eat.
Yeah, all the governments eat, we understand, but just do the job.
look,
We're not going to eat in the EFF.
See, that's why I don't trust you.
We're not going to eat. We're going to share with us.
Everyone eats. If I'm president tomorrow, everyone in the podcast is eating. Minister of blowjobs. We're all eating, comrade. This has been Podcast and Chill, man. We're out of here. Happy June 16, everybody. Boom.
Welcome to Black Excellence. Do not fear, for if you do, just sip on some grandeur. And if you still do, ask ourselves, what would Mapapunzi do? Parama chila, itlesha lefiki. Ungoyigi, even if when they ask you, awusabi yini, do not fear. For if you do, just say, Anistivi. This is the medicine of censorship. This is the pill. Which one is that one? Podcast and Chill.